Have you ever heard of a skillet throwing competition? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And that's a real thing. Women have been known to throw cast iron skillets in their southern kitchens. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Home Health and Hobby. I'm Chef Nicholas J. Today I'm going to be reviewing more or less a brand new product that its Kickstarter is now shipping out to its early buyers, a company called SolidTeknics. And what SolidTeknics is an American company that is making a brand new skillet to the marketplace. It's what I like to refer to as modern heirloom. Are you familiar with that old black skillet your grandma used to pull out and make some of the best meals you've ever had in? Pepperidge Farms remembers. Well, those big clunky heavy things that were cast iron is the reason I am calling it modern heirloom. It has all the benefits of cooking with cast iron, but it's significantly lighter. It's going to last a lot longer than your average cookware, and I'll get into the reasons why later on. I want to talk a little bit about the company before I get into the video, but let me give you an outlook as to what you'll come away with this video. While I'm reviewing this and giving my thoughts on it, I'm not going to give an A or B or C rating on this because I believe every product out there has its strengths and weaknesses. But when I come across a product that I like and somebody asks me to give my thoughts on it, you may see some more videos in the future like that. Mark Henry, the owner of SolidTeknics, who was kind enough to give me this skillet in its brand new form, it was kind enough to give this to me in New Orleans, as I said, and he wanted me to do a review on it, posted on social media. Speaking of social media, head on over to Instagram and Twitter, where you can find my handle at Chef Nicholas J. I'm always posting things that may not necessarily be on YouTube here. Enough of my own plug, let's get into the video here. As you can see here from my collection, I have a lot of cast iron. A quick note on casted products. Up north, the water during the wintertime is significantly colder than water in the south towards the equator. When a casted product comes off of a range top and somebody may put it in a sink full of cold water, it runs the risk of cracking or shattering. With this new modern heirloom piece that I've started to call this because it's going to last super long. These one-piece design products that are stamped, I'm almost certain they're stamped. They aren't casted into a mold of the shape of a skillet like a cast iron skillet. And my go-to right here, this one is pretty heavy. It's not something that I'm using and, you know, tossing things, and although I have the strength and ability to, most people don't, and I don't really enjoy having something this heavy in my hand. So like I said earlier in the video, that I'm not really going to give it an A or B or C minus in comparison to cast iron. I'm going to go through its benefits, which it has a lot of. So these right here, the cast iron, the ones that are molten down and then poured into the shape of whatever this is and then blasted with a steel particulate or some sort of particulate in the finishing process, these run the risk, one, of shattering or cracking because of thermal change. This right here has, I'd say, I can't say for sure, but I would say that it has less thermal mass because of the material and how it's been made, which is a closely guarded secret. It's been stamped, as I mentioned earlier, and in the stamping process they have punched out holes here in the handle right here, which actually allows for this to be on a gas range top in a commercial kitchen while keeping the grip cool to the touch. And what they're doing is they have the handle riveted right here. Some companies actually have it welded right here. And with this one-piece design, it is going to hold up a lot longer, giving me more reason to call this a modern heirloom piece. Mark Henry himself actually says that he stands behind his product so much that he has a multi-generational guarantee to it. Definitely, it will bend at the rivets, so it is a little bit more customizable to a commercial kitchen or to your feel if you decide to do such a thing to your skillets, allowing for more aggressive pan flip. And it can really be tailored to the grip angle of the individual cook or chef using it. And I can bend it back as well. I wouldn't do this too much because I believe what good sir is trying to say is compromise structural integrity. This is definitely going to outlast any product whose handle has been riveted to the cooking surface. Okay, we've got comparison next to one another. Let's get into how I would take this from the state in which you bought it, brand new, to the state from which you could cook in it. You could really cook in it, but you really want to get this seasoning done to it, get a base seasoning going before you were to just chuck a piece of meat in a brand new silver skillet. But do whatever you want, I don't care. All right, enough rambling. Let's get into what we call blessing your pan. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to start out by preheating our oven to 350. We're going to scrub off the coating that came on this skillet. It was a beeswax finish. I'm going to dry it out best as I can with a pan, and then I'm going to rub it down with oil here. This is canola oil, and as you can see, it's got a nice shiny coating. I'm going to do it all over the handle as well. We're going to pop it into the oven here for about an hour, and we're going to, of course, grab it by the handle with a rag or some sort of pot holder because the whole thing will be hot, of course. We're going to wipe it down with a second layer of oil here, again, including the handle, the bottom of the skillet, everywhere you can get oil on this thing is you want to do it completely. We're going to pop it back into the oven here for about another hour, plus or minus a half hour, doesn't matter. As you can see here, it's got that nice golden hue starting to develop on there. What we're going to do, I'm just actually measuring here the temperature out of the oven. The stove range is not on at the moment. I'm going to add in some green onions here, and it's going to start sizzling with the residual heat in the pan, as you can hear. And I'm going to grab a big handful of cheese and set the burner on its lowest possible setting. And we are just going to let this sit and simmer for, what I did here was about 2 hours. I was, doing this entire video throughout a day that I had to myself. As you can see, it is just barely bubbling. That's what you want to see. Alternatively, if you didn't want to use cheese, you could use bacon and use it for, I don't know, some sort of a garnish. If you're cooking something later on in the day, add it to a macaroni and cheese or put it on a burger. Find an excuse to cook and add this delicious stuff on it. Speaking of crispy, crumbly bits, the stuff that is on the bottom of the pan right there is the curds separating away from the oil, and the curds are gently frying like lardons in its own fat over a long period of time. If there's at any point in this entire process that you see smoke coming from the surface of your skillet, you've got your heat way too high. Now I am going to reserve this cheese oil here that's been rendering slowly over the past 2 hours at this point, and I'm going to reserve it to wipe down the skillet with later on. It's gotten pretty crispy here, and I'm going to remove it and set aside and snack on that later. So I went for a second round. I had a lot of time to myself this day when I was doing this video and getting this nice base seasoning layer on this skillet so that I could go ahead and start using it on a regular basis. I am taking this cheese right here, and it's a different kind of cheese, but that's irrelevant. But every cheese will look different in one way or another. I'm going to reserve that, set aside, and then I'm going to put it back on the burner, and over time it's going to crisp up underneath its own fat right there, as you can see. And we're going to pick it off when it wants to come off with a spoon or some sort of a sharp object, and it's going to come off in pieces like this. Again, a good snack. So the purpose of why I'm showing you this is, you know, some other interesting ways that you can do little neat things to step up your garnish game. I wanted to show you these techniques using these particular ingredients. That's why I chose them. It wasn't something at random. As you can see, a nice layer of seasoning is developing all over the entire skillet there. I'm going to wipe it down with that reserved cheese oil, as I said earlier, and continue to wipe it on and off and let it carburize like that. That is what the smoke is that you're seeing. You definitely don't want smoke coming out of any food item that you're using. This is salt right here. And I drizzle it with a little bit of canola oil, and I did this as an abrasive to take off any unburned or burned bits of food that happen to stick to the skillet, and then I would remove that without removing the seasoning. That patina right there. If you see that drop of water, I placed that there so that when it boiled dry, I knew that it was ready to accept some more fat. This case it's butter, and I'm going to add in some rosemary that I picked from the garden, and I'm going to simmer it until it has given me its all. Now I show you this as well so that you can take this concept of browned butter and infuse it with an herb to make it a more intense version of itself. So say that right there, you could drizzle that over popcorn for a nice little step up from your average popcorn. You could dip it in, you could dip your biscuits in it. I'm indicating here that it is hot on the range, but at the same time the handle has diffused its heat well enough that the grip there where your hand will be is just at body temperature. Really cool innovation on this one-piece design. I'm wiping it down with the rosemary butter right here. Any opportunity that I can, I'm going to take that I would be able to add more and more flavor into the finish of this wrought iron skillet. Now, it's important to note on that note that one skillet will be different than another. So what you see here will look different than yours at home or in your commercial kitchen. Another great thing I love about this skillet is that it is useful to both the home and professional chef. I'm going to add it into a preheated 450-degree oven for another hour, and as you can see, this beautiful black patina has started to develop, making it much more impervious to rust, giving a better heat transfer from the range to the piece of flesh you may be cooking or vegetation. Right here was the first item that I chose to cook in it for its maiden voyage from a main ingredient. And what I do is I add in butter, I add water to the halfway point of each Brussels sprout, I let it boil dry, and when the butter remains, it starts to simmer and give you a nice golden brown, almost burnt finish to Brussels sprouts, which I thoroughly enjoy in my Brussels sprouts, and so does everyone else who seems to enjoy these. As you can see, they were good enough for me to sneak one with my hand. Alright, for those of you across the pond and my neighbors to the north in Canada, you can see here I've got it weighed out in ounces, and it weighs in grams right at 1,065 grams. Just wanted to show you guys, give you a little bit of a perspective as to what it would feel like in your hand. The weight definitely does carry itself more in the cooking surface, which would make sense. And right here I've got a chicken patty that I formed out of some dumpling filling that I made the other day with some salted cabbage that I wrung out. Got some green onions, garlic, ginger, a little bit of lemongrass that I pulverized and smashed in the mortar pestle, sesame oil, carrots, bell peppers, you know, all the good stuff that you'd find in a dumpling. I passed this through my meat grinder and I made this patty into it, and I salted it and needed some salt as well. And as you can see on the surface there, it's got a really nice brown golden crust, and it's definitely got itself a good Maillard reaction going on there. Ooh, okay, let's just take a second here to regain ourselves. Okay, let's get back to it, shall we? Alright, I promise I'm almost done. I did want to give my final word and my thoughts on the use of this skillet and a little bit more about Mark Henry himself. We got a chance to speak face to face in New Orleans at the American Culinary Federation's trade show. This skillet is definitely got a learning curve to it, that if you're used to using its competitors' lines of equivalent make of their versions of this product right here. You know, the ones that are spot welded or riveted to the handle. This one right here has a little bit more of a steeper curve from the bottom of the cooking surface to the sidewalls, compared to the competitors that have more of a shallow sidewall to their skillets. So these are being made right in the United States, printed and stamped right into the bottom. A testament to Mark Henry's belief in making and staying local. Got a feeling from him that he really likes to take care of his employees and treat them with respect and dignity, that the corporate mindset does not. It does not matter how many times they say they do, but the corporate mindset does not care about its employees the way an individual owner would care about their employees, because when an employee knows they're being cared for, they're going to work harder for you. After August in 2018, these will become available to the general public. These are being shipped out to the Kickstarter supporters, and they are, my goodness, I gotta say, a really good product. I am really pleased with it, and I hope to get some more in the future when my finances allow it. Again, disclaimer, this was given to me and Mark asked me to give my thoughts on it on social media. You can pick up your set of SolidTeknics cookware at SolidTeknicsUSA.com, which comes in wrought iron and wrought stainless steel. What you saw in this video today was wrought iron. Don't forget to go check out my Instagram and Twitter at Chef Nicholas J. And don't forget to push the subscribe button on this channel as well, because I'm always striving to bring better content than I've brought to you the time before. Learning curve that I wanted to talk to you about with the competitors, which you may be familiar with using the prosumers and the commercial kitchen line cooks and chefs. This right here, with that steeper curve, is going to toss anything in here a little bit differently than the competitors would, because of that shallow angle that they have on their sidewalls. This has a little bit steeper of a side wall to it. So I just wanted to make a quick mention of that really quickly. The whole thing weighs about 2 pounds 5 ounces, or 1,065 grams for those of you across the pond, as you saw in the clip earlier. And again, I'm going to be using this not just for commercial work as a personal chef in people's homes, but this is gonna go camping with me as well. It fits really nicely on a camp stove, and it's lighter than cast iron, and it's a little bit more portable, a little bit more easy to tote around with you. Now, definitely not as light as titanium cookware, and that stuff is a completely different product line that this will not be compared to. But this will definitely find itself following along with me in my camping adventures that I'm not backpacking. And I'll make sure to post some of those pictures and videos on social media as well. Thanks again. Don't forget to push the thumbs up, subscribe, Chef Nicholas J at Twitter and Instagram. Thanks again, guys. See you in the next video.